looks like we're live. Welcome, guys. We'll be getting started in about a minute or so. Can hit that link at the top of the stream there. Enter our giveaway while you wait. Alright, looks like it is 1 o'clock, so it's time to get started. Welcome everyone. Black 6 here from BZPower. It's been a couple weeks, a little longer than we would have liked since our last stream, but we're back. We've got this LEGO Creator Expert Set 10248, the Ferrari F40, 1,158 pieces. Retailed for $100 back in the day, but I believe this set's from like 2015 or so, so unfortunately no longer available, but this is one of the early Creator Expert cars. You can see our box has seen some better days. This set, I believe, was donated by LEGO to one of the LEGO fan conventions in North America, and I received it from them. So, you know, it's been around a little bit, came from overseas, then had to get shipped to a convention, and then I had to get it back home, so no big deal. All the parts inside are hopefully good. If they're not, that'll be some added fun for today. But yeah, so you got the nice looking car, front and center, bright red, nice little spoiler in the back, interesting windshield. I see a lot of interesting use of like these curved slopes, like 1x2s and some different curves here. Even some curves on like the bottom of the windshield, so I'm definitely curious to see how all that comes together. Some interesting slopes and curves on the sides here. You can see on the side that the engine is in the back, and that I guess the trunk slash hood does open up so you can access the engine, and that it is 5 inches wide by 10 inches long. On the side here, we see a comparison of the set with the real Ferrari F40. So you can see, you know, the actual car has a lot of interesting curves on it, and so some of those curve slopes I was calling out are used to kind of create some of the holes and stuff here. So it looks like they did a pretty solid job with the medium. You know, it's kind of hard to get all those nice curves in LEGO bricks without some super specialized parts. On the back, see some more of the features here. So the doors open, the front, what is it, the frunk, something like that. I've heard them called before. But the trunk is in the front and it opens up, and it looks like there's like a soda can or something else hiding in there. Another shot of the engine in the back, and then we can kind of see all the different things open, and a nice back shot of the F40 as well. But we didn't come here to look at the box all day, so let's open her up. Thank goodness for numbered bags. This isn't one of those sets that's old enough to not have them. Although there are only 2 numbers, number 1 and number 2. So there's going to be, I guess, a lot of building for each number. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 number 2 bags, and 1, 2, 3, 4 number 1 bags. So it's kind of an interesting layout there. Definitely not simplifying it quite as much as we might have hoped, but I'll take it. Our instructions are, however, nicely sealed, and which means our sticker sheet, which doesn't want to come out of our bag, is not bent or folded, mutilated in any way. So let's take a look here. Not too many stickers, a fairly small sticker sheet for such a large set. Most of them are, you know, the Ferrari logo or the F40 logo. A couple of little details, some stripes, possibly some like lights or something, and some things like that. So nothing too crazy. Our instruction book, nicely bound despite being in that plastic bag. It did get a little bent and creased, but this set has been sitting around for a while. You know, it was on the LEGO convention circuit, I guess you can say, for a while before I got it. I think I only got this set earlier this year, or maybe last year. So it was already a few years old and been floating around for a while before I even got it. So kind of makes sense that it's a little bent, especially based on the condition of the outside of the box. So we're not going to hold that against it. So you can see the number 1 bags here are building, I guess, a lot of the main chassis. Looks like this is a kind of a rear view, so we should be building the doors and the seats in the interior in the beginning here too. Just gonna open up all these bags. I had almost forgotten to grab my clear plastic trays here that I use because I had taken them all since last week and we had done our LUGBULK sorting for Bionolog. I still have a little more to go, unfortunately. I did not finish everything last weekend. But those trays definitely came in handy for counting out parts. Ooh, so here's a part that immediately jumps out at me. I believe this windshield piece was made exclusively for the set, although it may have appeared in others since then, and it's actually printed on the sides here with some red, which is nice because that means you don't have to apply stickers to it. And what I'm saying to LEGO now is that if you were able to make a custom windscreen piece and do printing on it, why haven't I seen this in any other sets, like some of the Star Wars UCS sets that have so much printing that is like always so frustrating for me. Oh, all right, so we've got 7 trays of parts here. Some of the smaller parts within easier reach. One of the parts we got is a brick separator. You might have noticed off back here, I've replaced my pick-a-brick brick separator cup with a Brick Fair mug. This is now my brick separator cup, although it's already kind of full. I might already have to dump it out a little bit. But I miss Brick Fair, and it's a nice little reminder of that awesome convention now. Officially, so far, Brick Fair New Jersey in October has not been canceled, but I am not keeping my hopes up for that, considering that a lot of places, and I haven't looked specifically at New Jersey's rules right now, but a lot of places aren't allowing large gatherings still, so I do not really expect Brick Fair New Jersey to happen. Very understandably, I would rather people be safe and healthy, but I will still miss it, right? Like, I can understand why they're doing it and still miss it. Just hope that, you know, things get better by next year and we can all return to going outside and doing things and enjoying LEGO conventions and things like that. It was definitely interesting sorting our LUGBULK last weekend. You know, we had people wearing masks when we couldn't maintain 6 feet of distance. Sorry, trying to actually look at what I'm supposed to be doing here. Yeah, so wearing masks when they couldn't maintain 6 feet of distance. You know, trying to just stay separate from each other as much as we could. Spreading out throughout my house to do the sorting. Definitely a new experience for sure. But it was good to actually see other people. That I won't complain about. Really curious what we are building right now, because we're using some of those click hinge pieces here. Not something I would have expected to see in a car, especially with, you know, how we're kind of doing it like way early on in the body. Alright, so like this I could see maybe being an axle that we're going to be attaching a wheel to, but like these, only thing I can think of is that we're going to be attaching like body panels or something to it so we can get them at a nice angle. So what's been going on in the world of Lego since our last stream, since it's been a couple weeks? I feel like there hasn't been a whole lot, although I guess our last stream was before August, so you know, a lot of the new summer sets were released, although not a lot, or not all of them actually were released in the US. You know, one of the casualties of COVID was the Lego factory in Mexico was shut down. So I think they're open now, but I guess they're still taking a while to kind of get back up to speed and everything. So it's kind of has delayed the availability of some of those summer sets here in the States and I guess North America as a whole, probably South America as well. And then Lego just announced that new Lego City set this past week that I'm sure no one here is all that excited for, but hey, they announced it. Whoopee. I think for me, mainly the past couple weeks has definitely been focused on LUGBULK and that kind of stuff and getting ready for that. I've been working on my house a little bit, still working on renovating a bathroom, so lots of fun there. And unfortunately that has taken away some of my time from working on Lego. And now I've got all my new LUGBULK pieces. Like ideas are starting to percolate. Hopefully I'll be able to make some time to actually do some building soon. definitely need to take a vacation from work, that's for sure. Maybe I'll just take a staycation, stay home and play with Lego all day. Alright, things coming along. Kind of seeing a car chassis shape coming together here. I guess we also had Bionicle Day. Was that this past week? All kind of, everything still blurs together for me. I think it was this past week, August 10th. Yeah, that was like this past Monday. Which definitely had some awesome stuff coming out of that. Some cool interviews with Ryder Wyndham. Some nice announcements from some fan games, Wall History doing some cool stuff with cataloging some of the old Bionicle games on their website. So now if you ever want to play like Matorn Adventures and stuff like that, it's easy to do. Finally getting some system pieces in here. It's been mainly Technic so far. They're adding in some plates. Which is actually kind of really confusing me because we put these plates on and that's covering up most of these click hinges. So I'm kind of curious as to what the click hinges are going to do. Maybe they're going to be for some sort of like exhaust system that'll come out of the sides, or I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. Adding some snot bricks on the side here. Should help for making some interesting shapes. Those nice angles and curves on the car. Alright, looks like we're going to be making use of those click hinge pieces finally. We've got some of these modified 2x2 plates with a click hinge piece on them. We're attaching them to these little assemblies of some tiles on here. We'll see in a minute how those hop into place. So these line up here, pop them in. And one thing I'm noticing right off the bat, the fact that it broke, is that you can see they are offset by a half stud from the rest of the construction. So at the very least, we've got that going for them. And also, yeah, I think that's all they're going for because of the little clip here, they can't tilt up. And because it's the 2x2 plate, they can't go down either. So literally these click hinges are all just to offset these tiles by a half stud. And I guess just to give it just the proper width that they were going for to match the actual curves of the vehicle. I'm not like a huge car guy, especially not particularly a Ferrari person, so I'm gonna trust the designers here and assume that that was something that was important, like an important kind of aspect of the build to get that right. Yeah, so you guys are quiet in the chat today. I'd love to hear what you all have been up to since our last stream. If anyone's found any interesting or exciting ways to kill time during everything that's going on. And it's a bit harder to go out there and have fun. Always up for new suggestions. I've definitely been missing not having a lot of new TV. Like, I wouldn't say I watch a huge amount of TV regularly, but when I like having new shows around. Say lately, Star Trek Lower Decks and the new Muppets show have been airing, so I've been watching those. Lower Decks has been interesting. The Muppet show, unfortunately, was Muppets Now. I have not been very impressed with. Like, it has its moments, but overall I'm not sure I could really recommend it to anyone. Unless you're like a huge diehard Muppets fan. But if you are, you probably, like, that's probably one of the things that, like, I would say I am a pretty big Muppets fan, and that's probably one of the reasons I have not been enjoying it so much. Is because, like, I just feel like what they're doing with the characters just feels kind of off. A lot of that, and like a lot of the humor is falling flat for me, at least. I'd say Pepe's game show is probably the best part of it. I think they're not leveraging some of their best characters like Fozzie and Gonzo. I'm okay with them not leveraging Kermit because I'm not a fan of the new performer for Kermit, who's been doing his voice and stuff. But you'd think, you know, Kermit the Frog is kind of like the main Muppet. So you'd think they'd be leveraging him, but they have not. Alright, so we're starting to work on some of the interior for it. I'm guessing these two cheese slopes are supposed to represent maybe the gas and brake pedals. And we're kind of starting to get the center console. Might be like putting the shifter here on this jumper plate or something like that. We'll have to see as it continues to come together. So it's kind of cool that we're getting into some of the interior details. Hey there, Ray. Good to see you in here. Even if you're popping in for just a second. Hope you're doing well. There's the part I need. So we're starting to make what will eventually be the trunk area here. I'm guessing these two plates of the bars are going to either be for opening up the hood or for attaching the windshield later on. No one else ever found it a pain you have to stack like a whole bunch of 1x1s on top of each other and you're trying to like line them up to make sure they're not like skewed at all. Or is that just me? Am I the only one with that kind of OCD? Alright, so it looks like these clips here are lining up with the clip we put in previously. And that's, I'm guessing, where the doors are going to attach. So we've got a nice little construction here with a Exoforce hand and a lightsaber, which looks like, based on where it's going here, is going to be the emergency brake. This is a kind of cool little build here. I'm trying to think if I've ever built one, if any of these previous, I guess in some cases subsequent, LEGO Creator Expert cars I've built have had emergency brakes. Definitely shifters. Steering wheels, things like that, but I don't know if they've ever had emergency brakes. Is it possible to line up the 1x1s? Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much time you want to focus on it. Sometimes, like, I will put them together and then kind of push them down on a flat surface to try to get them to line up better. I feel like that helps a little bit, but only a little. And I think a lot of it depends on how long you are willing to spend on it. Interesting. So we've got a classic wrench piece that we're putting in, I guess what's going to be the trunk on the front. And it's clipped in, which I kind of like. Like, I feel like that's probably not very accurate. I guess maybe it has like a built-in toolkit in the Ferrari. But I like that it's clipped in, so you don't have to worry about like loose pieces rattling around. And so now we've got a little control piece here, little kind of a handlebar. I forget what the technical term is. A lever. And I think that's supposed to be our gear shift. So it doesn't quite go in all the directions, but I think it does a pretty good job representing the gear shifter. We're also starting to work on the seats here with these plates with the bars that we're going to clip the seat backs onto. Next up, we've got the steering wheel. So yeah, like most of the Creator Expert cars, the steering wheel is not actually going to do anything. It's just going to be there for show. No mechanical linkages to the wheels. Do have a couple of printed parts going in here. Not a new printing, as far as I'm aware. Just little like dial pieces, presumably the speedometer and tachometer. And we do also have our first sticker going in. Just going on this 1x1 silver tile. It's going to be the Ferrari logo. So there we go. This way, when you're driving down the road, and if you forget what kind of car you're driving, you just gotta look down at the steering wheel. You're like, oh yeah, I'm driving a Ferrari. So there we go. We're little driver's area starting to come together. Adjustable steering wheel. It turns. I got the gear shift, emergency brake. Got our pedals down there. See it really coming together. Looks like next here, going to be working on the passenger area. Here we go. So here are a couple more 1x1 plates you have to kind of stack on top of each other. So it's like especially in a case like this where they're on a bigger piece, we'll just like push them down like that sometimes if I really want to try to get them lined up. And they're still not completely perfect, but good enough. Especially if it's going to be in an area you're not going to see that much. But especially when you're just stacking 1x1s. And it can get really annoying because you have like nothing to compare them to. Alright, so passenger area going in here. So I assume this 1x2 tile here, probably supposed to be like the glove box maybe. We'll see if we're putting anything on these Technic half pins with studs. So we're adding some other details to the, I guess, trunk area. I assume it's supposed to be like a soda can, maybe like a little cooler or a lunchbox or something. Driving your Ferrari out to like a picnic or something. I'm not quite sure on that one. kind of enclosing that trunk area with some curved slopes and angled slopes here attached to these snot brackets. This kind of makes it so, you know, even if we weren't attaching these by the studs, I could put them in there and they wouldn't be able to slip out. Just kind of a nice little design. It's definitely nice to be building something again this week instead of just sorting seemingly endless Lego parts. Alright, so looks like these are going to be the axles for the rear wheels here to match the ones we did on the front. So it kind of gives you an idea of just how little ground clearance the Ferrari is going to have based on how high the wheels are mounted. I'm not sure if the yellow Technic beams are supposed to kind of represent like the yellow disc brakes. I'm not sure how visible they're going to be in the final model. We'll have to look and see when we get there. But you can, as you can see, the axle does not connect. There's no drivetrain mechanism. The wheels are just mounted in whatever way seems most convenient for the design. Mainly focusing on the exterior aesthetics as opposed to the mechanical side. You know, if you want that mechanical side, that's what we've got, like those awesome Technic sets for, like the Porsche and the Bugatti and now the Sion. So those kind of scratch that itch. Speaking of which, we did finally post a review of the Bugatti, the Technic Bugatti, by retired staff member Kayapu, my friend Michael, a longtime BZPower member. Very active once upon a time, won a few BBC contests back in his day. Still loves the Lego, just doesn't have as much time for it anymore. But he was able to do an awesome review for us. If you have not watched the videos on our YouTube channel that he and his brother did, you really should, because they're super well put together. His brother is like a professional videographer, so he knows what he's doing when it comes to that stuff. And I think probably one of our best reviews we've done in a long time, if not ever. It's kind of an interesting technique. So we're building these little assemblies here. And we've got this 1x1 plate with a clip on it, this 1x1 brick with a bar, and we're actually like putting that bar into the clip before we push down all the way, and they stay attached. And we'll have to see if that's like an aesthetic thing or if that's some sort of structural thing to kind of give it a little more strength, but keeping the dimensions down, so maybe we can like put something around or under it in that corner area. I guess we'll see as we continue to build what that gains us. Certainly an interesting little technique. Alright, so definitely an odd looking assembly here. From this side, you can see we use some curve slopes to get that interesting shape, that one of the ones we were looking at on the box there. So definitely some interesting techniques going in, not necessarily to make that shape. I don't think it's too hard to make, get those two curve slopes on top of each other, but just to then attach it onto this build here. So make sure we get this in the right spot. So it looks like the whole reason for that, we'll see in a second when we turn the page, is so we can actually then turn these at a slight angle. And you can see when we do that, it's going to line up with our half-stud offset thing from way back when to give us this really nice sleek shape. And so that's what a lot of the technique here was, to give it sturdiness, but then have the spacing and the angles so that we're able to actually rotate it like that. Build another one, but we already did that. And yes, we do indeed put them in at an angle. Lock them in with some more plates. At this point they can still move, but now we've got these plates on top so they can't pop out anymore. So it gives us some nice rigidity. 4x4 black plates on here. And that's going to keep these assemblies from going back. And like right now, yeah, still wiggles a little bit, but once we stack some more stuff up here so that this 1x4 isn't so loose, it'll really lock things into place and keep everything straight, on the straight and narrow. Alright, I am feeling like we're about halfway through this first set of bags. So once I grab the parts for this step, I'm going to go ahead and put up our giveaway link. Where'd that go? There we go. See, if you have not yet entered, head on over bzpower.com/giveaway. And enter to win some free Star Wars buildable figures. We'll pick our first winner in a few minutes. Alright, got some interesting stuff going on here. So obviously the engine is going to be mounting here. We've got some clips here for some reason. Have to see what those are for. I'm guessing these Technic pieces, the pinholes, are going to be where like the back mounts onto, so it can flip up so you can access the engine. And we're also, with these snot bricks and cheese slopes, I think we're starting to kind of make that wheel well arch for the back tires there. All right, let's do this next step here, because it looks like we're moving on to some sort of sub-assembly. Before we start that sub-assembly, we'll pick our first winner of the day. So it looks like we're using these bars here, go into the clips that I assume eventually will be where the doors connect. Interesting little technique there. All right, that's it for that step. So that works out perfectly. It's been about an hour. So let's go find our first winner for today. Paleo, congrats. You've won a K2SO buildable figure. You'll be getting an email from us so we can get you that prize. Looks like we're about to find out what those clips were for. So we just built this assembly. It's got these 1x2 plates with bars on it, attached with some snot elements. And so those are clipping into place. And also that, you know, it lines up so that this brick attaches as well, so they're not just held in by these clips. Looks like the really is there to kind of get the shaping along the top here. And these aren't like the seat backs because we still have to put those in, but it is kind of interesting, an interesting shape there, especially with the holes in here. Makes me curious if that's like something in the actual car where from the driver's compartment you can see back through to where the engine is. Seems like a Ferrari kind of thing, right? You like just really want to show off your engine. If you're buying a Ferrari, I would assume you'd want to actually look at the engine. So it makes sense. And speaking of those seat backs, looks like that's what we're building now. Alright, so here is our seat back with our headrest. Definitely looks pretty comfy. And so these clip in. There we go. Definitely looks maybe a little cramped in there, at least on the driver's side, but you know, the cars are built for performance more than comfort, I guess. Alright, looks like what we're building now may end up being the roof. Well, looks like it's got a lot of Technic construction in it, which is not a bad thing by any means. It's kind of interesting to see. So you've got quite a few Technic beams that we're going to be using. Which, you know, is normally the kind of thing you see, like we saw a lot in like the core structure here. But now we're using it when I believe, like I said, is going to be the roof. And lots of these 3-module Technic pins. Alright, so 2 of these assemblies, pretty much entirely Technic. And now we're connecting it to our still kind of fragile System Technic hybrid here. There we go. So I believe this is going to flip like this, and that's going to become the roof. Hopefully we hide those blue pins. But I'm not going to get my hopes too high on that. Oh, it looks like I may stand corrected. It looks like we will be hiding the blue pins. Good on you, Lego. As you can see on these 2 assemblies we built, while I do have the 1x1 Technic bricks with the pinholes in them, the other side is just a normal 1x1 brick. So now, when we pop these on here, no Technic pins showing. But from the top you can definitely still see that there's some Technic going on. Hey there, Box Commander, welcome. so now our roof goes in here, and those Technic pieces I was commenting before that I thought was going to be for the engine compartment turns out to be to hold that roof on with a 10 module axle here. Only if we can get it lined up properly to go all the way through. Come on. There's only 2 axle holes that it has to go through, and it just does not seem to want to. And so before I go back to fight with that, there's also these 2 connection points down here where we left these 2 module Technic axles sticking out of a while ago, and I can just kind of push those in. If we can get it in all the way. Fingers are too big. There we go. I mean, just that alone really locks the roof in. I just need to get this Technic beam all the way through. There we go. Maybe I can use a brick separator to help push, because it's just really hurting my finger to do that. Kind of need to spread the weight. They're almost there. See, something else a brick separator is good for, pushing in axles instead of just removing them. Oh, and somehow I broke a seat in the process. Alright, so yeah, now our roof is definitely not going anywhere. Kind of funny how small the roof is in comparison to the rest of the car, because there's a lot of windshield and door and windows going in. Speaking of windshield, looks like that is what is next on the list. Actually, I think I'm going to combine some of these trays. Just those 2. It's a little easier to reach some of the parts here. Alright, there is our windshield assembly. Thankfully with no stickers, because it's actually printed on there. And it's got these plates with clips on the back. Clip in right there. And then that folds down. And so you can see on the roof here, actually kind of has 2 things. So we have these cheese slopes, but then down there we've got that little snot bracket. So you can see as we push this in, the top here lines up with the cheese slopes, but the snot bracket keeps it from going down any further, so that keeps it locked at that angle. Hey there, LaRocca. Yes, I did miss the BioLug meeting yesterday. I don't think it was necessarily a secret, I just couldn't make it personally. Hope you guys had fun in the meeting at least. So I've made some assemblies here. And you can see have a cheese slope on them there, and that is so they can go over here and not get in the way of our things that are on grid. So these are lining up with our angled pieces from earlier. So I was trying to build up the sides there. Looks like now we're actually going to be working on one of the, I guess both of the doors, because I'll be building both at once. Lots of these little plates with clips, which makes sense because as you remember we have these bars here that the doors are going to attach onto, so I assume they want to try to close that up as much as possible. Happy to hear that, LaRocca. It's definitely a good idea, I think. Kind of give a little normalcy, especially since we all miss hanging out at a brick fair. Alright, another trade done. Getting close to being done with our first section here. Very kind of you to say, LaRocca. I'll be sure to avoid any future meetings to make sure you guys can still have fun. Alright, so this is kind of an interesting technique here. So on our door here, you can see we've got this 1x4 slope But from the outside, the door is going to look solid. So we build this with these snot brackets here. So we put those on top. That adds that little kind of background. So it keeps the door profile a little more than 1 brick thick, but allows you to have that kind of cutout in it and still make it look pretty nice and sleek. We are using those snot brackets now to add a little bit more thickness and some interior details on the door. Alright, yeah, so there's the interior there. Some tiles, a lightsaber bar for the handle, some black tiles and cheese slips. Kind of get a nice finished look there. Just what you know, expect to see on the inside of a car. And then you can see you've got 7 clips on here that line up, hopefully. That did not go on all the way. There we go. So then that swings open. You can see that the notch in here lines up with this notch on this back assembly we built. There's a little bit of a gap, but you kind of need to have that gap in order for the door to be able to open anyway. Works pretty well. Not quite as fancy as some of the mechanisms they did on some of the later Creator Expert cars. I feel like the Ford Mustang is coming to mind. It's got a little bit more of an elaborate mechanism. But sometimes simple works best. And from the top there you can see that those lines come together pretty well. And then yeah, both of the doors will swing open. Oh, and then we have to do all that on the other side. Oops. Alright, looks like we're just about done with this bag. That didn't take much longer. Guess I didn't time my halfway point very well. So I just put up our giveaway link again. So you can go ahead and enter in our giveaway, which we'll be doing, I guess, after we open up our second set of bags, because it looks like this is pretty much it for the first set here. Alright, our last detail in the first bag, you can see we still have a bit of this bar sticking up at the top, so better to make use of that with than attaching our side view mirrors. go. So yeah, definitely starting to look like a car now. We've got that windshield and the doors in place. Looks like a car in the auto body shop needs a new front and back end there. Lots of leftover parts here. Get rid of those, open up our second set of bags that we've got. It looks like we're gonna start off the second part by building the beautiful engine to go in the back. Hey there, Bellum. Got some tires. Always handy when building a car. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that, you know, with the Creator Expert cars, that this was one of the first, you know, one of the early ones that they did. You know, a beautiful sports car, and they have really only done one sports car since then, with the Mustang, which I guess is more, I would consider more of a muscle car than a sports car. And yeah, you'd think like some of the licenses they have with Porsche and Lamborghini, you know, they would have done something like one of those at this scale. But so far we've only seen those kind of things now as like Technic sets, you know, the Porsche, the Bugatti, and the Lamborghini, all that, and the giant Technic scale. But those, I mean, as much as awesome as those are, and so much fun to build with all of like the inner workings, I feel like the Creator Expert scale results in like a better looking end product for like displaying on a shelf, right? Like, I think just like at that scale, or at this scale, you end up with like a better set, better looking set than like the Technic, where you know you have like gaps and stuff that you know it still looks like a Technic set, I guess, at the end of the day. And there's certainly marvels of engineering and like so much fun to build, even though they take forever in your day. But like if you're like a Lamborghini fan, right, you want like something that looks nice when you're done building, I would think. And there's nothing to say you can't have any Technic in these sets, because you know right now we're using some Technic parts to make the engine on our Ferrari, so you can still kind of have the best of both worlds at this scale, I feel. Well, yeah, the Technic Ferrari, that was I feel like it was from a while ago at this point. Maybe it wasn't quite that long ago, but yeah, a lot of those Technic, some of the earlier Technic sets before the Porsche look a lot worse from a, you know, kind of aesthetics perspective, I think, for sure. Like the Porsche really set the stage for making it even better. You know, the Technic supercars from the past were always, you know, again, awesome mechanical sets. but not always the best aesthetically looking. You know, I've gotten better, but I feel like still a Creator Expert scale is where it's at from that perspective. That's what I'm saying, Box Commander. I mean, I guess we have the Speed Champions line, which are like, you know, the sets are fun, and I enjoy the ones I built, but yeah, like something bigger. I feel like Speed Champions is more targeting like the younger kids who like model cars and things like that, you know, smaller scale stuff. Yeah, that is the other thing with these Creator Expert cars compared to the Technic ones, is that like I can have one shelf that I have. I'm not going to have room for this set on there right now. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to squeeze that on there. But all the other Creator Expert car sets that I've built on stream, you know, the Mustang, the Beetle, the bus, the Volkswagen bus, and the London bus, the Caterham, like all those I have on like one shelf. If I was to try to put like the Technic cars on there, I'd be lucky if I could fit the Porsche and the Bugatti. So, you know, they just take up so much more space and don't look as great. I'd be all over a Subaru. And yeah, I was definitely wondering why they never partnered with Subaru in the Speed Champions license. Alright, so our engine's coming along. We're using some old school Wild West revolvers for some of the valves on here. Engine coming along nicely. Mount it on here. There we go. Looking lovely. Yeah, it's definitely a technique they've used in a lot of the other Creator Expert size vehicles. I believe the Mustang uses them as well, if I remember correctly, in its engine. I feel like the DB5 gets a bad rap from the people who are super into cars. Honestly, was one of my favorite Creator Expert car builds, if only because it has a lot more play features and like cool little details than a lot of the other Creator Expert vehicles. I mean, that ejector seat is just awesome. And I mean, that's just like one of the many features that it's got, so. And, you know, yeah, they're kind of like play features that you show off when the set's done, but it's just so much fun to like assemble that and like get to see it all come together. That's kind of like, I feel like the DB5 takes, you know, the joy of the build from the Technic side, you know, where they are definitely very fun to build and all those, you know, mechanical intricacies, and it takes that and puts it into that Creator Expert scale and makes it look that much cooler. Yeah, I'm always a little hesitant whenever Lego says they're doing something at a certain scale for sets, because I feel like the sets are usually have their scale dictated by the parts, and they're not too worried about maintaining a super strict scale. Alright, engine's definitely coming along nicely here. See, it would be kind of interesting, I guess, to see how an allegedly 1/32 scale Lego set compares to something that's a little more exacting in its measurements. Not to mention they changed the width this year or last year to be 6 wide instead of 4 wide, which allowed them to put a lot more awesome details in, but then like changes the scale compared to all the previous sets that they released. Which, if I collected Speed Champion sets, I'm not sure how I'd feel about that, because it's like now the new ones won't match the old ones, but at the same time now they have more detail. Yeah, like I said, 2019 or 2020, I forget which year, they changed the Speed Champions cars to be 6 wide instead of 4 wide. So I don't remember exactly when the Nissan came out that you're talking about, because I don't follow the Speed Champions all that much, but so I don't remember which version that one is in, or what size that one is. Alright, really coming together here. This is kind of interesting. So we built this section and this one, and there's nothing to connect them, but thankfully these two, because headlight things line up, we can put a tile over there to hold them together. We're gonna put some other parts on there to keep it attached. I think this might be like the supercharger or something on it. Right, the exhaust manifold. Maybe if I just say car-related words, I'll get it right. Business, 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 numbers. Oh, see, I was off in my Speed Champions statement, so yeah, they went from 6 wide to 8 wide, not 4 wide to 6 wide. I guess that makes more sense. And yeah, that whole Top Gear thing, yeah, maybe a little bit out of their control. Alright, I think this is the completed engine. So lots of details there. Looks pretty sick, and then it just fits right in. Attaches by like 4 studs or so, so if you grab low enough, you can easily pop that right back out. If you grab too high though, you're just gonna pop that piece off, so. I think it probably is a good place to grab from back here. Yeah, there we go, it's a good, safe place to remove the engine from. And it fits in there nice and snug. This would be really impressive if they had made the Speed Champions cars 4 wide. Could be like those, weren't there like some racers sets from back in the day where they didn't actually fit a minifigure? They just kind of had like a minifigure head, where they like made a new mold that was like kind of like a minifigure. Yeah, I mean, I still want that Imperial Star Destroyer because I'm a big Star Wars nerd, but at the same time, it's like, man, it's just like this massive gray triangle. I would much rather have something with some more interesting shapes to it. Not to mention, where am I going to display it once I've built it? Alright, looks like we're building the rear bumper now. Yes, the Executor definitely has a more interesting shape than the ISD because it's got like all the little like towers and greebly stuff in the middle because it's just so massive. Death Star 2 that's in scale with the UCS Imperial Star Destroyer. That would be a giant, giant ship. That'd be a lot of parts. How many thousands of dollars would that be? Alright, so here's our bumper, which is kind of interesting because it has a hole in it for the exhaust pipes to go through. So once we attach this, can't easily take the engine out without first removing the bumper. We'll have to see how attached the bumper is at the end. The green plates here are interesting. Kind of curious to see how they stay as part of the build, how visible they are by the end or not. So here's an interesting little detail. It's not attached to anything, which is kind of odd. I'd have assumed there would be a clip around somewhere. But I assume this is to be so you can tilt that up and open, keep the trunk or engine cover open when it's once we build that engine cover. Right now, it's just kind of resting in there. There have been some non-original trilogy UCS sets, and they have a vote recently where the fans voted on getting a UCS gunship from the Clone Wars. So that will be another non-original trilogy gunship or UCS set. But we've also had in the past the Naboo Starfighter, Obi-Wan Jedi Starfighter. Those two might be it for prequel trilogy sets. But yeah, definitely nothing aside from original trilogy or prequel trilogy. No Legends or comics or sequel trilogy stuff yet. Yes, the LAT is we're getting a UCS of, so that should be fun. That definitely seems like it would be a really interesting build, so that has me excited. Because there's like a lot of interesting shapes in that. That seems like it would be really cool. Yeah, I'm not sure if they would call C-3PO set like what you're talking, if they would call that UCS, but like something at the scale of the BB-8 and the DO ones we've gotten. That'd be cool to get a new R2-D2 that would be in scale with them, and then a C-3PO as well. I'd be down for that. But I don't think those actually say UCS on the packaging. but they're definitely a premium kind of set with a display base and everything like that. Yes, they did do a UCS R2D2. That's why I said a new one. If they were to do C3PO, you know, I would like a new R2D2, because that old one was definitely very blocky. I think that they have advanced some of their build techniques at this point, that a new one would look so much better than that original. All right, got another sticker. I think this is just our second sticker so far. Little F40 on the rear bumper there. And yes, thank you for reminding me about the, I just realized I put the wrong color dishes on here. The General Grievous, I guess, UCS set we got back before the buildable figures. And I guess we got the Darth Maul bust as well. You consider that a UCS set. I'm not sure if that was actually considered one or not. That's pretty awesome, Laroka. Yeah, that classic Technic Darth Vader set to go with the two buildable figure versions. Seems like it'd be pretty sick. Right, coming together pretty nicely. Only if I can, there we go, I got it to attach right. So we got our brake lights and our signal lights, some nice detailing on the side there, those grill tiles. Yeah, I feel like, you know, LEGO is going to see how the UCS gunship is gonna sell, and then maybe make decisions on future UCS sets based on that. Because I guess, like, historically, right, it was mainly, you know, the original trilogy fans were older. They were the ones who had the disposable income, who could afford UCS sets, but people who grew up around the original trilogy are, you know, adults now too, and they've got disposable income, so we'll have to see if they're willing to spend it on a UCS gunship. And then if they do, maybe we'll get like some other sets like Pod Racers or a new Naboo Starfighter or something like that. Arc 170 would definitely be an awesome UCS set. I love an 802 Jedi Starfighter UCS set as well. Yeah, Rook, I saw some of the pictures you were posting on our Discord yesterday, in the Vinyl Discord, about your light up Coras. They're looking pretty fantastic. Have to see when when events are ever going to happen again, as far as when we could even bring them somewhere to be displayed. Camera, what are you doing? There we go. That was weird. One of these days, I'll get a new camera, and it will be glorious. I'm not going to make any promises here on the stream, LaRocco. We'll have to, we can talk offline. And like I said, it definitely depends on when LEGO events ever actually start happening in person again. Hey there, Dollar, welcome. Here's a odd little technique here. So you've got this snot bracket above this 1x2 plate with the clips. We're putting these plates with bars on and just attaching them like this. I guess it kind of gives it some strength because now that is not coming apart anytime soon. Maybe that's what it's for. Maybe there's some aesthetic reason for it as well. Looks like it's time for some more stickers. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how the Lego Mario stuff does. And I think that is, going to dictate whether we see other Nintendo franchises in the Lego form. Because they certainly got plenty of options out there. Alright, so this is going to be part of our engine cover here. So you can see the cheese slope goes into this 1x6 arch on both sides. Oh, it's a little fragile, more fragile than I thought there. There we go. You can see how this is starting to come together. You can see that lovely shaping around the wheel arch there. Looking pretty sick. Oh, hey, make another one. Already did that. Now we're going to be using some of these trans black 1x4 panel pieces here to get that nice kind of like stepped look on the back here. Not great for looking at your rearview mirror, but hey, when you're driving a Ferrari, what's behind you is none of your concern. Yes, these go like so. So you can see from the side, hopefully, it's kind of got that step look. One more row along the top there with some snot bricks. Thinking for the sides, we've got these printed pieces here that are gonna clean up the sides, look pretty awesome. I love that those are printed and not stickered. Just gonna throw that out there. Thank you, Lego. Now to attach it, we've got some Technic pieces here, and it's actually going to attach to all that Technic stuff that goes onto the roof, which we were shown off before. That made it for a very strong connection. So if I can get the Technic axle to move here, this would probably be easier if I do it while not holding it. There we go. So now that is attached on here, and that can go up. And this tile here keeps it from going too high. And then as we were showing off before, we got this little guy that can keep it propped up. Oh, as long as you don't move it around while you do it. Let's try that again. I do wish there was a better way for this to stay in there. Maybe there is, we just haven't built it yet. You can prop that up so you can admire the beautiful engine. Alright, so now we're taking these lovely printed parts here, attaching them on the sides. Do still have some gaps in here that I'm hoping we fill up. I do notice, you can see there are some plates with clips down there. So hopefully we use those. Oh, yes, and it looks like that is what we're going to be doing next. Alright, realize I still have had this giveaway link up for a while. I'll probably do a next giveaway in about like 5 or 7 minutes, so I guess we'll keep it up. Alright, so now I just built 2 of these assemblies. which on the opposite side, you can see they've got this 1x1 brick with a clip. And that is actually indeed going to slide right in there and clip down. As you can see, that lines up perfectly smooth with the rest of these tiles here. And just fills in that gap pretty much as perfectly as you could hope for. That is really slick. I think we still need to do something like right around here to cover that up, which I'm sure we'll get to. But so far, that is looking pretty amazing. And yeah, I hope you guys had fun at the meeting. I was unable to make it, unfortunately. But we'll see. Hopefully it won't be the last one. Yep, and that gap I was talking about, we are closing up right now with some 2x4 wedge plates. There we go. Sticker that's going to go on the spoiler. At least the start of the spoiler. Another lovely F40 sticker there. I do appreciate that, you know, unlike a Honda Civic or a Toyota Celica that you see with a spoiler, I feel like putting a spoiler on a Ferrari is actually going to do something for the aerodynamics of said Ferrari and keep it on the road. Now we're going around the front. We do still have a whole front of the car that we need to build. So I think after I finish this little assembly we're working on, we'll do our next giveaway. So make sure you have entered. There's our first part of our front fender going in there. And so now, let's do our next giveaway. issue. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, that's why I still had the giveaway link up this whole time. So I forgot to do a giveaway after we finish the first set of bags. Alright, we'll do a second giveaway pretty soon then after this one. There we go. Lord Oblivion. Congratulations, you've won a Kylo Ren buildable figure. We'll be getting in touch to get you that prize. Alright, see you later, Bucks Commander. Thanks for tuning in while you could. Appreciate it. I love how the ground clearance for this thing is so low that like this front fender is literally flat on the surface of my table here. And like once you put the wheels on, it's just gonna be like, doop. That's interesting. Oh, okay, so that's gonna be how the front opens up there. I didn't even realize we were building that yet. So I was just gonna show off that lovely grill there with those kind of fence pieces, and then accidentally realized that we were making a function. I definitely find myself agreeing with you there, Dollar. Like, this one was never like super high on my list of sets to pick up, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, you know, I got it at a LEGO convention. I think I got it for volunteering at a brick fair, and like I wanted it kind of because I have so many of the other creator expert vehicles at this point, but at the time, like, I didn't, you know, wasn't really feeling it. It just seemed like some of the other creator expert vehicles are a lot better, but like some of the techniques and stuff in here, this thing is, it's pretty fantastic watching it come together. Alright, a couple more stickers about to go on a pair of 1x2 cheese slopes. Sticker number 6. Still have quite a bunch of stickers left to apply, which is kind of, I feel like it's kind of surprising considering how little of the set seems to be left to build. Yeah, I decided to upgrade from my pick-a-brick cup of brick separators to Brick Fair mug of brick separators. One, because I miss Brick Fair, and two, because it allowed me to use the pick-a-brick cup for storing actual parts. So there's a little bit of a practical reason for it. Well, this is interesting. So we got these yellow teeth pieces here, and I think those are going to be like the brake pads or something along those lines, because you're going to be able to see them, I feel like. When you mount the wheel, you'll be able to see that flash of yellow behind. One thing that you guys probably can't see as we're building this is that we're adding a lot of snot on the inside of this. So I'm really curious to see how that comes together, if like we're literally going to be building the top of the hood off of these snot elements here to get some sort of angle or something. or maybe it's just going to be structural to help hold things together. Oh, speak of the devil, glad to find out. So yes, it looks like at least this part is going to be structural. We're attaching some angle plates here. And some clips though as well. So that might be used to hold on the front of the hood. Make sure I got this in the right spot. So for, I guess, the headlights, you've got these, some more of these trans black panels. This is a 1x2, so the 1x4. I'll play with clips, and those are clipping on here, and they fold down. So it's kind of interesting because underneath we have these trans clear and trans orange pieces. So you can kind of see them through the trans black. Makes for a nice effect. Alright, and since I skipped a giveaway before, I feel like we should do another giveaway. Hopefully I won't forget this one now. But yeah, I just put the link up, so in a couple minutes we will do our third giveaway, since our second one was later than it should have been. I was just too excited to start building again that I forgot to pick a winner. Got some more stickers going in, and some more 1x2 curve slopes, which should match up with the ones right here. So that's kind of interesting, just because of how this one is attached to a snot bracket back here. This is on a snot brick. This curve slope is a little higher than the one on the front, and then we're continuing that black stripe with some actual brick-built stripes here. So it's kind of like slowly going up, and I guess it's going to line up with our other black stripe we have there. Some more stickers. I think these are supposed to be like the light bulbs or something that go into this assembly to make things light up. It's kind of what it's looking like. So you can see the sticker there, and then they're going on these little assemblies here, which then attach on there and then curve down. I'll show the other side here. So I go up here and then curve down. And so you can't really even see. Oh, these are pop-up. Okay, that's right. They've got pop-up headlights. That's right. It's a Ferrari. Those are the high beams. All right. That is awesome. Right after Dollar saying the level of detail is impressive, I definitely concur. All right, probably about time to do our next giveaway. So get rid of that link. Hey, speaking of Dollar, you've won a Jin Urso buildable figure. So you know the drill. We'll be getting in touch. We'll get you your prize. You'll have some more pieces to work on for your mocks for Brick Fair Virginia next year. Alright, I think it's time to start combining some of these trays. A little easier to find some parts. And we've got some more stickers going in. Some Ferrari logos. Suddenly after this, we've only got one sticker left. That one, I believe, goes on the hood to be front and center. So these particular ones are going on the side of a 1x2 brick. And you can see this is giving us those wheel wells here. It's kind of interesting because as you may see, there's a tile back here. So these are only attaching right now with one stud. I'm sure we'll like kind of lock things up as we build a hood, but because that has to go up, they only go on with the one stud. It's kind of like that piece that I just broke off. some of the gaps around the windshield here. We are really starting to look good. Looks like we're going to have some interesting building techniques to get the little inserts on the hood here. There's another tray empty. So you can see we're kind of building that last part here. Got a couple holes in here though. So flipping it over, see what we're going to do about that. Yeah, I'm not sure what those, oh, you know what those green plates at the back might be for? As I was talking about before, as I was building here, I was commenting on like how that front fender is so low to the ground that I can just put things on it. Those might just be spacers, so that as we're building it, it keeps that back fender off the ground. And then once we put the wheels on, we'll pop those off. Because yeah, I was wondering why we were putting some green parts on there too. Alright, so we built this little assembly with some snot brackets and some lightsaber bars. And that attaches on to the back of the hood there. So we look from the front, we can see some bars there. And now we're going to build some things to go in there to make it look all awesome like. So we've got some of these 1x2 curve slopes, little plate with a clip. Pop that on there. You can see that shape starting to come together. And then another one. I have that nice little cutout on there. I'm just going to do the same on the other side. Time for our last sticker here. I think we're about done except for the wheels now. This one's kind of a pain because you have to center it on this 2x4 curve slope. There we go. Good old Ferrari logo. And so the bars, it's hard to find a place to pick it up, parts keep moving. The bars that are holding those inserts on also double to connect to these yellow clips here. If I can line it up properly. There we go. think that's gonna be, yeah, it looks like those green plates are coming off. Alright, time to put some tires on some rims. Only if the rims don't roll away. I do like the nice silver rims that we get here. Let's go little Technic axles from way back when. You can pop off the green plates. And then we've got these nifty little inserts that go right in the wheels there to match the actual look. Alright, there she is. And that is all she wrote. We've got our part inventory, advertising for the Mini Cooper, other creator sets, and you can win. Okay, let's put our giveaway link up for one last time. And let's show off our Ferrari F40. So it actually, I feel like it does not roll all that well. Like you have to, if I just put kind of like a normal amount of force, it does not go very far. You really have to push it to get it to go. There's a lot of friction in there. It's very heavy. It looks like it's a fairly small set. I think the box set is about 10 inches long, but it definitely has a lot of mass to it. From the bottom, you can see that Technic frame. You can see some of the kind of nice angles we've got on the back there. And had a part fall out. We'll show that off in a little bit. So from the outside, definitely pretty awesome. Lots of nice sleek lines. You know, the interesting geometry that they do on the sides here. All the little cutouts like on this door, or on the side panel here, on the door, and then on the hood. Very nice. I'd say the kind of main detriments to the geometry are like the Technic beams here and here. Kind of leave some gaps down there. And also on the top, the Technic beams that are holding the roof on give some gaps, but that's not really that big of a deal. I'd say the next big thing is that the back windows here are just kind of solid black. There's no transparent parts in them. You know, again, another thing you can pretty easily live with, I'd say, in the big scheme of things. From an aesthetics perspective, I think it looks pretty awesome. So that is the outside. Then there are a bunch of interesting features. So the one I didn't even realize at first was the headlights, the high beams that pop up here. So it's pretty sweet, nice little feature thanks to some Technic. And then it's a rear engine car, so when you lift up the front, you have the trunk, which has got like a little soda can. I think that's supposed to be like a cooler, and then there's a wrench back there. So kind of nice. You can see some of the interesting techniques used to make that happen. There's some snot brackets to hold things together, the bars that are holding those inserts in, so definitely some cool geometry there. Of course, the doors open. And I do like how they finish off the inside of the doors here with the handle and the tiles and the cheese slopes make it look very nice. It's kind of hard to see inside. I wonder, yeah, you can't, the windshield is not permanently attached there, but you can't like lift it all the way up, so it is a little hard to see the inside of the vehicle in here. We'll try to sneak in there, do our best. So you can see there's a steering wheel there. There are a couple of cheese slopes on the floor for the gas and brake pedals. No clutch. There is, however, an emergency brake in the center console. And you have the shifter in here as well, the lever piece. Try flipping the hood up and then the windshield and see how that works. Oh, or I could break the hood off. Alright, so yeah, this part of the hood is only held in place by a couple of clips, so it's possible I did not have that in there very well. There we go. Alright. So you can't flip the hood up when the doors are open, so we'll do that. Open the doors, yes, and then the windshield comes up a little more. The roof here is not going anywhere because that's all technical. You can actually hold the entire build by just that section of the roof. But maybe that gives us a little bit more view of the interior. On the passenger side, there's not a lot going on. The seat designs are pretty nice. They look nice and comfy. Some nice curved slopes and some fender pieces in there. There is a little tile, 1x2 tile that's raised there to kind of represent, I guess, the glove box. So it's kind of a nice little touch. All right, let's close all of that up. Go around to the back, which is where the engine is. And I would say probably what my one gripe with the model so far is that, so this comes up, and this part that popped out before is just supposed to kind of like rest in here. It's not attached or anything. It would have been nice if there had been a clip or something for this, but instead you're just gonna have to pop it out, hold it in place. Might be easier to do while this is sitting on there. Yeah, even then it's kind of hard to get it to stay in place. And then you can kind of wedge that in place to keep the engine cover open. You can see that it kind of moved around there. Maybe it's supposed to go, that might be why it's supposed to go in here. That makes more sense. All right. See, it can kind of, gives you a little access to the engine back there. And in theory, I have to see if, in theory, the bumper, yes, the bumper pops off, and then you can actually just pull out the engine. It's only connected by a couple of studs. So it's kind of a really cool feature, because it's probably one of the most little detailed, intricate builds. I love the revolvers for the valve stems on here. You got the turbo charger on the back. You've got the exhaust pipes. So really cool looking build. So it is nice that they allowed you to take that out and put it back in fairly easily. And yeah, some of the techniques on here to like get the wheel wells to line up and then still have this be able to pop open are pretty awesome. The louvers on the back, pretty sweet, nice cool techniques going on in there to get that to work. Definitely a lot of awesome techniques to make this set happen. And yeah, it looks pretty sweet. I look forward to displaying it. Probably next to like my Mustang and Mini Cooper and all the rest of them. Just have to move some stuff around to make the space. But yeah, all in all, pretty awesome build. I didn't even really talk much about the black racing stripe that we got that goes along the whole length of it too. So yeah, definitely a lot of nice details. A lot of awesome techniques, a lot more than I was expecting there to be, honestly. And it looks really nice. Nice and compact, but like I said, pretty hefty. Definitely feels like a good solid build. And it was a lot of fun. Alright, so let's see who our last winner for today is going to be. Get rid of that. Close the polls. Vorak1, Ponrock2, congratulations. You've won an Elite TIE Fighter Pilot buildable figure. So we'll be getting in touch with you, get your address, and get you that prize. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show, enjoyed the build. Definitely a lot of fun. As far as when we will be back next, I don't have a definitive answer. I would like to come back next weekend and build the tumbler. I've talked in the past that I was rewatching all the Batman movies. Well, I watched the 1989 Batman before we built the 1989 Batmobile, and so I kept watching through that, and you know, I made my way through Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. And I figured if I put myself through that, you know, I might as well watch Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises and build the tumbler after that is fresh in my mind from watching the film, so I can kind of compare and contrast that. So hoping that is next weekend. Stay tuned. Make sure you follow us on social media and on BZPower.info to see when we announce what our next build will be. So until then, this is going to be Black 6 from BZPower signing off. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe, wear a mask, and see you next time. Bye, everyone.